Thank you, Chair.
Sure, I have a question.
Can I?
No, after you.
Okay. Can I just add to the point you just made, Mr. Dyer? There's a huge doctor surgery served up by the bus station, by the railway station arrangement. And it went there deliberately because the buses went along there. Because people don't go by train to the doctors in a wrong basis, they go by bus. So that huge doctor surgery is a serious issue and a contributory factor which you should take into consideration. Can I just make the main point I wanted to make? You've effectively suggested in responses that the time to do a review is to coincide in timing terms with the introduction of the changes from Hampshire County Council. Is that effectively a commitment to have a review? That's the first question. And the second question associated with that is, if that's correct, you're prepared to have a review, how can we influence that review? Because there's a whole range of people that have been in touch with us, they've been in touch with you to some extent. There's certainly a whole range of people who would wish to contribute to suggestions and propose solutions. Now, I don't know if you know Hampshire County Council, its arrangements and processes. They're currently consulting on changes. They're currently in the process of consulting, and that consultation is likely to end by the end of July. And it will go to the County Council, Cabinet and Council in September time for implementation, because it's money for implementation in the next financial year, which is April next year. But their intentions will be public, certainly in early autumn. If you're going to coincide with the introductions of their commitments, you would need to start the process relatively quickly, and because it will give us the opportunity then to feed into it. Is that something that we can work together to arrange?
Yes, I think the best conduit is through the borough and county officers. The other major factor for us is that people in this world get married and then they do things and then they have children, and the result of that, without being flippant, the result of that is we always see changes in demand at the beginning of each academic year as travel patterns change linked to the academic year. So in terms of what's happening on our commercial network, late September is always a good time to start a review like that, because we can then see what has happened with the new travel patterns for school and college students.
Just to confirm with you, are you saying you will have a review and we can contribute to it?
Yes.
Well, that's very helpful.
You know, that's your decision, of course, as usual. But in regard to the liaison arrangements that operate, which we've heard something about, if I heard Mr. Dyer correctly, I mean, he seemed to be unaware of the changes that impacted upon Hatch Warren in regard to the close of the surgery there, doctor's surgery, and the creation of the merged arrangements in South Ham. And quite frankly, if there's ever been a doctor's surgery and medical centre that's taken longer to plan than that one, I'd have a job to find it in Basingstoke or anywhere else in the country, I think. And if that is really a statement from Stagecoach, we were unaware of that change taking place and the impact it would have on Hatch Warren residents in the way the council party has alluded to. I'm astounded. It says little, in my view, about our liaison arrangements if that's the best we can do.
Yes, well, Mr. Dyer, still trying to write my speeches for me, will you? Well, you know, you're interfering. You aggravate the situation and there's no aggravation, all right? So, no, put me off my stomach there. No, the thing about the discussion between Councillor Keating and Mr. Dyer was very interesting. That he said review in September, but we must the separation is quite important between the commercial services and what's subsidised, because what any company won't run as commercial, Stagecoach and Basingstoke, the subsidy has to come in from the local authority. I mean, in Basingstoke here we do quite a bit. So, but I think you will admit, I think the changes coming February 16 was a PR disaster. So one of the things you must do is promote your services. And what's coming in the 1st of August is when the changes, the evening services subsidised by the borough. And obviously that's an idea of a partnership it's a true partnership between the borough, the county and Stagecoach to promote these services. So, but I will say this. I mean, I always say this, 'cause I used to be a driver. I used to drive a car once, but I had to give up driving for health reasons, and now I come relying on the buses. I used to use buses before, but for the last 20 years, I use buses. But I always say, I said this 10 years ago, and I say it now, no one in Basingstoke in their right mind is going to get out of their car and use the bus service as an alternative, because the bus service is just not comprehensive enough. Until we get a comprehensive service, like if you go back to my own ward, Southam, I will keep on about it, because a great chunk of the thousands of people have not got a bus service there who had one 50 years. It was taken away just like that, and there was no consultation. It was imposed upon them. I mean, you've got the faster number 3 route, the one that does not stop at the railway station on the way back when people got their shopping. I will say that again. I said, until you take note of those sort of things, people are not going to get their cars and use buses. It's the last desperate resort. So we've got to promote buses as a green alternative to the car. Until we do that, we're always going to be going around in circles.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to take the conversation back. You talk about promoting bus services. Can we just get our heads around what we're actually dealing with in the town, the reality of what people are facing? Because I think to take it back to the top of this evening, when we listen to all those residents' concerns, we have a situation here, don't we, where we have a bus company, the bus company, because there isn't anybody else. You are the only show in town. And you are very able, as you have done in the past, to make sure that you are the only show in town. Because when anybody else has ever challenged or tried to challenge or competed against you, because of your strength, you've managed to effectively push them off the road. That's the blunt truth of the matter. Your chief executive says we've met our expectations for this year when you make £147 million in profit as a company, just this year. There is no financial reason for cutting the buses in the way and changing the routes in the way you did. And I don't really disagree with that argument. When we talk about the buses, from the residents' views and from everything we've heard, Chair, the reality is that our bus service is not fit for purpose. It does not fit what people want, need, or expect. And you can sit behind the commercial veneer, and you can sit higher as a private company, and you have every right to. And I totally understand the robust ways in which you've answered the questions this evening. But the truth is, you gave a very telling statement when you said that you wanted to get more commuters to the train station. You wanted to get more people to be able to access South West Trains, which happens to be your partner company, your sister company. The truth of the matter is, yes, of course we want commuters to get to London, to Reading, to Southampton. We also want local people to be able to get to their local jobs in their local companies and local employers. And that's a massive issue. We want students to be able to get to their local schools and their local education. We want people to be able to get to their GPs and their health and the hospital and so on. And the reality is that what you've heard tonight, and you'll come back with your answer, I'm absolutely sure you will, and you'll justify it. But if you're truly listening, and I don't know whether you are, if you're truly listening, you can't escape what the residents are genuinely telling you. And I really do test you on that. Are you genuinely listening to what you're being told? And when we talk about promoting bus services, Chair, we need to turn our fire a little bit here on the county, because they've been silent so far, for we've not been brought into the debate. So let's just talk about the options that are on the table from county in terms of their £1.5 million cut they're proposing in this consultation. To reduce or cease support for Sunday services, to reduce services completely after 7 p.m, to cease 9 a.m. early start for older persons bus passes, or reduce the frequency of some services full stop, or replace some services with taxi shares and community transport services, or reduce information available to residents. You know, we've already got a problem with Stagecoach. God help us when the county cuts come through in terms of promoting public transport. We have a public transport crisis in this town if we don't address it properly. The question is, Chair, you want to promote public transport. Can we get some competition in? Is it possible for the public authorities to work with other bus operators to incentivise our current monopoly by having some competition on our bus routes to give the residents a better product? Because we're not getting it from Stagecoach.
Councillor, I'll ask.
And may I ask the County Council to respond in terms of how they feel they are promoting bus services when the only list for consultation is cut, removing services, taking away things that residents have currently got. How is that promoting public transport in our town?
I'll